In the movie roster this week, WFMY News 2's Manning Franks shares his experience watching Titanic on the 25th anniversary.
In 1997, a film was released in theaters that captured the imagination of audiences, became a pop culture staple, and made a lot of money. Now the ship has sailed back to the cinematic sea as James Cameron's Titanic has returned once again to theaters. Now, I've seen the film before, but I've never had the chance to cry while watching it on the big screen. So, who could say no to that?
Titanic was called the Ship of Dreams. And it was. It really was.
In 1912, the passenger ship Titanic set sail upon the Atlantic from Southampton, England to New York, New York. However, it would ultimately never reach its destination. Through a combination of fact and fiction, James Cameron takes this tragedy and humanizes it through the bright fire of a doomed romance, with Rose, played by Kate Winslet, and Jack, played by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Take it to sea, Mr. Murdoch.
Titanic is one of those films that just gets better with each subsequent rewatch, by oscillating between the harrowing nature of the historical event and the fresh taste of young love through the eyes of Jack and Rose. There is this beautiful accessibility to the film that makes it an enduring classic even to this day. Be it the star-crossed lovers at the center, or the deep empathetic reverence of individual stories from crew and passengers, James Cameron waves his cinematic wand to transport you to that faithful night. It is ambition on a grand scale that is rarely seen in film nowadays, as Titanic still holds up as a spectacle for the ages. It doesn't hurt either that James Cameron is so intentional with every single aspect of the film. The visuals are disarming and feel so carefully choreographed. The music by the late James Horner, and yes, that includes the main theme of My Heart Will Go On, feels so synonymously integral. And the acting from leads DiCaprio and Winslet proves these two were always destined to become stars. The experience of watching Titanic on the big screen as you bawl your eyes out is a close equivalent to an emotional catharsis as one can get while watching a movie. Don't mishear me, Titanic isn't a perfect film, but by the time the ending hits to this masterpiece, it certainly does feel close. I'm giving Titanic an enthusiastic 2 approved. You can watch it for a limited time in theaters or rent it digitally.
I got chills during the whole thing.
Too.
Just hearing that music and seeing some of those scenes just brings back so many memories of watching it. I remember I watched it in the theater when I was 14 years old.
And I want to see it in the theater again, even though I've seen it 8 million times.
It hits differently when you see it in theaters, because I've only seen it on TV when it's had those reruns. This is my first experience seeing it in theaters.
So you
this past
did
week.
see?
I did.
It's incredible.
Kimmy and I saw it. It was we were just weeping the entire time, and I joked about bringing that tissue box. I literally brought tissue.
No, you
have to need it.
I might have to go and see it, because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have not seen this movie all the way through. I've seen it in chunks.
Yep.
I understand the plot.
Not the same.
I know what characters are in it.
I mean, I think,
but I have not seen it all the way through.
I think everyone knows the plot to an extent because it's such a cultural thing. Like we all know about the Jack and Rose.
Right.
If he could fit on the door.
Yeah, the
we
whole
all
thing.
know that spiel.
I just so I became obsessed after I saw the movie, and the Titanic exhibit was touring at that time because they said this is the perfect time to do it, obviously. So they did, and I saw it. I bought. You're gonna laugh. I have some of the replica cups from the White Star line, which was the ship that, like, I went nuts with it, but Cameron got obsessed with it. James Cameron went down to see the Titanic.
He's an obsessive director.
Several times.
And that Titanic is proof of that. It's a great film.
Quick question before we go to break. Are there any other movies that you think are neck and neck with how popular this is, or how much it was able to drive people, or the fact that we can bring it out 20 plus years later?
Spans the test of time.
Spans the test of time.
When it comes,
what other movies?
I don't think Wizard of Oz would have been able to make the same amount of money as the thing, but
Well, that's for sure.
Titanic, it's hard to beat.